The year was 1945, the place Hiroshima, Japan. The United States detonated the first atomic bomb in an effort to end World War II. That moment represented one of the greatest triumphs and tragedies known to mankind. Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, started World War II in 1939. He convinced Japan to join the Axis, which was the German side of the war. Germany told them that they would control Europe and that Japan would control the Pacific. As part of the secret war effort, German physicists that included Otto Hahn, Ernest Rutherford, and the first woman German physicist, Lise Meitner, discovered that if a uranium atom gets bombarded by atoms, it can release an enormous amount of energy. Where did the idea come from? E=mc². No doubt you have seen this very simple but essential equation, established by Albert Einstein. E=mc² means energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. And atomic energy would not be possible without Albert Einstein's equation. He also won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1922 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. Einstein renounced his citizenship from Nazi Germany and immigrated to the United States in 1933. Einstein did not only discover most of nuclear fission, but Albert Einstein got word of scientists working on nuclear fission in Germany. He received this information from fellow immigrants who used to work under the German military before war broke out. News of Germany's work on a possible atomic weapon concerned Albert greatly. While war has already started in Europe, it did not reach the United States until 1941. Japan bombed the United States on December 7, 1941, in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Japan's goal? To keep the United States out of the war. By destroying their U.S. naval fleet for the Pacific region, Japan felt it could eliminate one of their greatest threats towards the Axis and ensure Japanese domination over the Pacific region. But little did the Japanese know that, instead of keeping the United States out of the war, the bombing of Pearl Harbor led the country to enter World War II, and maybe to end it. The United States would fight a war on two fronts, the Atlantic and the Pacific. Albert Einstein took the information he received from Germany very seriously and believed it presented as a threat to the Allies. He thought that it could be possible to construct a weapon with the amount of energy that nuclear fission made, so he wrote a letter to the U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt on August 2, 1939. In the letter, Einstein warned President Roosevelt about the possible makings of the bomb and suggested that the United States make a bomb of their own faster to end World War II before it got too far.
Sir, some recent work by Enrico Fermi and Leo Szilard, which has been communicated to me in a manuscript, leads me to expect that the element uranium may be turned into a new and important source of energy in the immediate future. It may become possible to set up a nuclear chain reaction in a large mass of uranium, by which vast amounts of power and large quantities of new radium-like elements would be generated. Extremely powerful bombs of a new type may thus be constructed. A single bomb of this type, carried by boat and exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory.
President Roosevelt agreed on the importance of supporting research in order to construct an atomic weapon. The president ordered the start of what was called the Manhattan Project. Scientists worked around the clock in a laboratory in New Mexico called Los Alamos. The Manhattan Project took place from 1942 to 1945, which is when the bombs were sent. Some of the main physicists to work on this project were J. Robert Oppenheimer and Enrico Fermi. The scientists first wanted the project to create a gun-type bomb, but in 1944 they realized that instead of a gun-type bomb, A weapon using nuclear fission, one based on implosion, would be more efficient. The scientists conducted hundreds of tests and finally finished. President Roosevelt then died in April of 1945. Germany surrenders on May 7, 1945, ending the war in Europe. The United States and its allies still faced a bitter battle in the Pacific. It would be Franklin Roosevelt's successor, President Harry Truman, who would order the first use of nuclear bombs in history. The first atomic bomb that the United States dropped on Japan was called Little Boy. It weighed 9,700 pounds, was dropped at 8:15 a.m. on August 6, 1945, on Hiroshima, Japan. The bomb caused about 140,000 deaths by the end of the year. 3 days later, at 11:01 a.m., the United States dropped another atomic bomb called Fat Man. This bomb weighed 10,800 pounds and was supposed to be dropped on the city of Kokura Arsenal, but because of weather, they had to resort to their second option, Nagasaki, Japan. In total, the two bombs that dropped on Japan wiped out large parts of two major cities and killed approximately 280,000 people. Once Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, World War II was over. The atomic project has been critical to winning World War II. Was the development and use of the atomic bomb a triumph or a tragedy? Historians note the triumph of the bomb. When the United States dropped Little Boy and Fat Man on Japan, it brought a swift and fast ending to a 6-year world war. Moreover, the research needed for atomic bombs also helped to bring nuclear power plants that create electricity, medical uses as CTs and MRIs to see the body, and radioactive treatments to fight cancer. But the atomic bombs that fell in Japan brought great tragedy to the men, women, and children of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In Japan, more than 1 million people died or were severely injured in an effort to beat Nazi Germany in the race to use an atomic bomb. Even though it ended World War II, Einstein, Oppenheimer, and other scientists felt so guilty that some of them went to pursue another career. 9 years after the war had ended, shortly before his death in 1954, Einstein had a visit by Linus Pauling, a famous chemist and peace activist. Outside Einstein's house the following visit, Pauling made a note, which he later recorded in his diary. He recalled that Einstein told him, "I made one great mistake in my life, when I signed the letter to Franklin Roosevelt recommending that the atom bomb be made." Today, many Americans consider the use of the atomic bombs in World War II as a triumph in history, but some people recognize how much of a tragedy those bombs were. One of those people was the United States President from 2009 to 2017, Barack Obama. In 2016, 71 years after the bombing, President Obama visited Hiroshima, where the first bombing took place. It was a historic trip. No U.S. president has ever traveled to Hiroshima to honor the dead. He met with the President of Japan, Shinzo Abe, and gave his apologies on behalf of the American people for the Manhattan Project. President Obama also met with survivors of the atomic bomb.
71 years ago, on a bright, cloudless morning, death fell from the sky and the world was changed. A flash of light and a wall of fire destroyed a city and demonstrated that mankind possessed the means to destroy itself.
This proves that at the end of a war, every side has losses, and we must always acknowledge each other's tragedy. According to the Federation of American Scientists, in 2018, 9 countries have an estimated 14,485 nuclear weapons.